So let's imagine that we're at a networking event. Now, we've all had conversations with people who, for one reason or another, they turned us off. They either left a negative impression or they just didn't impress us at all. They were unremarkable. They were forgettable. Or even worse, they were doing something in that conversation that just irritated the heck out of you. Someone with whom you either weren't very impressed with, they were blah, they were boring, or perhaps frustrating you or getting your ire up. Write down on your worksheet or in your journal, personality trait-wise, what were they doing that left that impression on you? Personality trait-wise, what words come to your mind? What was it about them that made you feel a certain way? What impression did they make on you in that conversation? Now, while you're thinking about this, do you want to know the answer that comes up the most? Because I ask this question a lot. The most popular answer I receive is that the other person dominated the conversation. It was all about them. Every topic, every conversation turned back to being about them. What do you think the second most popular answer is? Not being present. They're looking at their watch, they keep taking out their cell phone, or they're looking over the head, of the person that they're talking to. How do you feel when someone does that to you? It's like you're not very important to them, that they're tired of you and tired of the conversation, or that they want to move on. And that doesn't feel so great. Think about the last conversation you had like that. The last time you were in a conversation with someone who left a negative impression or no impression at all. What were they doing that caused this impression on you? Now, feel free to stop the video and write down your thoughts. And once you have your list, come on back to the video. Do you have your list? Now, I've been asking this question about negative impressions for years, and I'm going to share with you a few more answers that I've heard from audiences and clients alike. And I'm sure you've experienced these too. 1, they make all the conversations about them. They have bad breath, like they smoke. They stand way too close. They complain and everything that they talk about is negative. They seem disinterested. They won't hold eye contact. They have intimidating eye contact, borderline creepy. They talk too loud. They talk too fast. They chew with their mouth open. They don't smile. There's no animation. They're only there to sell you on something. They're boring. They can't get beyond the small talk, and I hate small talk. They have defensive body language that makes you feel uncomfortable. Did any of these make it on your list? Now, this is important because sometimes we see these traits and behaviors in others, but we fail to notice them in ourselves. Which brings me to the next point. Imagine yourself at that same networking event, but imagine yourself now in a new conversation. You just met a new person, and you had just a few minutes to talk. And in that few minutes, you talked, you exchanged information, you exchanged business cards, you heard a story, you told a story, and then you went your separate ways. What impression did you make on that person? As they're in that conversation with you and as they walk away, what are they feeling? What are they thinking? What are they experiencing with you? Could they be experiencing any of those negative traits or behaviors that we just talked about? You don't have to answer it, but I do want you to think about it. But more importantly, what impression do you want to leave on them? Personality trait-wise, what thoughts? What feelings, what impressions do you want them to have of you? What do you want them to be noticing about you, thinking about you? Again, I ask this question all the time. Most everyone right off the bat says that they want to be likable. Now, I can see that as being pretty darn important. We like hanging around people whom we like. We like doing business with people that we like, right? Of course. So I'd like you to pause the video now, and I want you to take a minute to write down how you want others to think about you and feel about you when you're in a conversation with them. And when you're done, come on back. Now, the answers I get from asking this question are fairly universal, no matter which individual or group I'm asking. These come up every time. We all want to be seen as competent. We know our stuff. They can assume that we are fairly intelligent. Here are the others: trustworthy, confident, engaging, thoughtful, easygoing, kind, follow through, authentic, fun, and caring. Well, here's the good news. You have more control over the impression you leave on others than I think you realize. For the most part, studies show that people will believe whatever impression you project. So can you see how it would be in your best interest to be intentional with what you project? I want you to think about something. Style is more important than substance initially. Style is more important than substance initially. And here's why. You could have all of the substance and all of the intelligence in the world, but if you are unremarkable, you'll have a harder time getting decision makers to listen to your pitch, your ideas, or consider you for advancement. Now, don't get me wrong, you need to have substance as well. Otherwise, 5 minutes into a conversation and they're going to figure you out. But you need style to draw them in. Style is more important than substance initially. So let me create a scenario for you. Let's go back to that networking event, that one that we started at the beginning of this video. This woman enters a room. Now, this could be a man or a woman. I'm just randomly picking a woman for this scenario. Now, she's not overly attractive. She's average attractiveness, average height, average weight. So these things are not part of the equation. But for some reason, you can't take your eyes off her. There's just something about her. She piques your curiosity. And you actually enjoy searching her out in the room in between your conversations. You're intentionally catching glances of her because she intrigues you. And you notice that other people notice her as she makes her way through that room. There's just something about her. She has that it factor. We've all experienced people like this. So I want you to picture her in your mind. What is it about her that sticks out for you? In your journal, I want you to describe her. What do you see? Write down as many answers as you can think of, and then come back to the video. Because this is where it all gets interesting. So what did you come up with? What did you notice about her? Now, whenever I ask this question, there are universal responses that I get. She's confident, easygoing, smiling, fun, engaging. She has great posture, open body language, warm touch, the way she carries herself. She listens. She's interested in the other person. She laughs. She's relaxed. Nice voice. She makes eye contact. She's warm, assured, bold. Now, studies have shown that high-powered individuals, they initiate handshakes. They make more and longer eye contact. They lean in when having a conversation. They have open body language. They gesture more, and they're more animated with their facial expressions. Now, I'd like to add 3 more to this list. High-powered individuals use powerful body language. They bring warmth to their engagement, and they have presence. So let's talk about how high-powered individuals convey that presence. Because remember, for the most part, people will accept whatever it is that we project. Now, studies have shown that when you're talking, people will hear around 7 to 45% of what you're verbally saying. That's it. So when we're communicating, if we're focusing only on the words that we're saying, we are leaving out essentially up to 93% of our skill set. So how is that other 93% communicating? Through our body language. Now, if you think about it, the words that we used to describe that woman who had that it factor when she walked into that networking event, none of it had to do with her verbal skills. It had to do with her body language and her presence, her smile, the way she carries herself, how she listens. All of it forms an impression on us. And remember, like I said before, first impressions don't always happen when we first meet someone. First impressions happen the moment that we become a blip on someone else's radar. This is body language, and we are all very good at reading body language. So let me give you an example. Let's go back to that scenario of the networking event. But this time, your eyes land on a woman who you can tell is a little bit nervous being inside a room full of people that she doesn't know. I mean, we've experienced that. You've experienced it. I've experienced it. This particular woman, she feels that she's out of her element. She doesn't know how well that she can fit in. Perhaps she fears rejection. She doesn't trust what people will think about her. She feels uneasy breaking into a conversation, unsure of what to talk about or how to hold their interest. So she stands by a wall and looks at her phone. She feels uncomfortable and she feels vulnerable, and more than anything else, she wishes that she were anywhere else but at that event. I want you to see her in your mind. Picture her. And when you have a picture of her in your mind, being in that room, feeling all that uncomfortableness, pause the video and write down in your worksheet or in your journal what you see. Describe her body language and then come back to the video. You most likely described something like this. Her arms are crossed over her body. Her chin is lowered. There's no direct eye contact. She could be fidgeting with her clothes, with her hair, with her napkin that came with her drink. Not only are her arms crossed, but her legs are most likely crossed too. She could be shifting her weight back and forth, closed body language. She might be holding her phone or her drink or her coat or her purse or something in front of her. She makes herself small. She's not smiling and she's certainly not engaging, and her voice is most likely small, weak, or monotone. She could be rubbing the back of her neck or wringing her hands or touching her arms as she's looking at the phone. You can picture her, right? So we are all very good at reading body language, and it's not that we're analyzing body language to this degree, but more so it's something that we internalize and then we feel it at a gut level. And that, in part, forms our impressions. Reading body language goes way back to our tribal days. And our very survival depended upon reading it. Now think about it. We had body language long before we had verbal language. So we're really good at reading it. Have you ever talked with someone, in a conversation with them, or watching a personality on TV where they're talking and they're sharing something with you? At a gut level, you just feel that I'm listening to the words, but I still feel like something's just not right. Most likely it's because their mouth was saying one thing, but their body language was giving you a whole nother story. At a gut level, if it comes to believing the verbal language or the body language, we believe the body language 100% of the time. That's that gut feeling that we get. What we look for and what we want to achieve is congruency, where the words and the feelings and the body language match up. When we are at our best selves, standing in our truth, that's authenticity. And if you're wanting to make a great impression, that best self, that authenticity, well, that's what we're wanting to project. Go back to that woman with presence, that it factor woman, the one that you just couldn't take your eyes off. That woman, she's the real deal. She is highly educated. She has life experiences and she has value to offer. That woman, she has substance. Now the other woman, the one that was meek, the one that felt out of her element, she too is the real deal. Equally matched to the it woman in every way. Highly educated, has life experiences, has tons to offer, and she too has substance. Now, if having to decide between the two, who will the decision makers in the room gravitate towards? The it woman, right? So how do we use this information? Style is more important than substance initially. You have personal and professional goals. You have people who you want to connect with to make that happen. You need to be noticed for your style, your confidence, your presence, and demonstrating your best self so that those decision makers will come to you for your substance. Now you know how we form first impressions. Your body language, it speaks volumes. You also discovered that you're pretty good at reading body language. You know what powerful, charismatic body language looks like and what your own body language might be saying to others about how you feel in any given moment. This is powerful stuff. So in the next video, you're going to learn body language techniques that will help set you apart from others. And these techniques will add to your charismatic mindset. They're going to make you more magnetic, and they can give you a competitive edge.